This episode is brought to you by High Point Market. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Design Dash podcast. I'm your co-host, Melissa, and I'm here with my co-host, Laura. We're trying to stay warm. We're talking about winter storms and all that brings, but it's the beginning of the year. And a lot of the people in our community are talking about hiring. So we just finished up one of our community coffee chats. Hiring was a big topic. And so we wanted to discuss that, maybe dispel some of the rumors about hiring, some of these myths, and then talk about some best practices that have really helped us, that of course have taken us years to hone. So I think that's where I want to start out first, is that a lot of people in the community, they're hiring right now, which is exciting. That means that their businesses are growing. Very, very happy for them, but they feel very uncertain about what it takes to hire and, what can they let go of, because they've been doing this all by themselves for years and years and years. So Laura, when you were making your first hires, what was delegation like for you?
Oh my gosh, when I first started, it was non-existent, because I was in crisis. Like, when I first opened my firm, I grew really quickly, I which was intentional, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect with growth, and so my first hires were very reactive, and I really just needed help. I got, as soon as I opened my retail storefront alongside my design studio, I started getting clients quickly just because I had great street traffic. I was on a major street, so I had a lot of walk-in traffic because of the storefront. And so I got projects pretty quickly. And I said yes to everything, as we do when we're first starting out. I said yes to everything because I was super excited that people were interested, finding me, and that I could actually get clients. And so I did hire extremely reactively. And so that meant the delegation kind of looked like, here's a laptop. Here are 10 things that I'm drowning in. Go. And that was it. Today, that looks very different, but that's 20 years of putting processes in place, making mistakes and learning how to fix them, uh, and hiring people that actually know what they're doing in a lot of different. So yeah, it was very reactive at first. And so I think, at least the people in our community, they're not hiring reactively, because we talk a lot about that and the pitfalls. So they are hiring actually almost in the opposite way. They're very cautious. They are considerate. So they're worried about hiring someone and then not having enough work for them in the future. Or I don't have all my processes in place. So how can I possibly hire and onboard someone? It's all in my head. And so I think that's a lot of fear around those two big things.
Yeah, that fear around not having everything in place is, I think, you just need to throw that one away. I think, I mean, of course, like if you are a big corporate entity and you have 500 people underneath you, of course, if you don't have standard operating procedures, it's going to make you look a little janky and unprepared and not ready to hire anybody. But when it's just you and you're hiring that first person, I mean, I've been in that role before, transitioning from corporation to then working for a small business. I think at first it was, oh, okay, they don't know necessarily what they're doing, but
Nope.
it's of course it's a small business. Like, who has the expectation that you should? And that gave me a mandate to make these kinds of things that were needed. And so I think if you can get okay with the fact that there is no expectation that you will have these things, and that the person that you're bringing on, they have value because they can build those things for
Yeah.
you. Um, I do think it depends on hiring that right person and somebody who can thrive in a small business, because it is very, very different than a corporate environment. That's hard.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're exposing a secret here. And that is, small businesses, whether you're solo or a team of 5 or even a team of 10, we do not have everything in place. Surprise. Like it just doesn't exist, especially when you're starting out. I mean, even for me, 10 years in, I had processes in place, but they weren't necessarily good. They weren't necessarily going to help me scale in a structured way. So I think if you're just starting out, you're making your first hire, you're making your fifth hire, whatever it is, not everyone, no one else knows what they're really doing either. So you are not alone in that. That is a secret of small business. And I don't care what industry you're in. If you're a small business, you're not a Fortune 500 company. Like you're just not.
Right. I
So
think if you go into that too with that transparency, and I think that helps build trust with this new person, which is another big issue that I think I want to get into. But if you can come to this person and say, "Hey, I'm bringing you on board because I don't have these things in place. I'm looking for somebody to help me put these things in place."
yeah,
I think that's something that you should be discussing in that first interview, or second interview. But sometime during the interview process, so you can find the person who isn't put off by that. The person who actually gets motivated to build these kinds of processes for you. Because as a business owner, especially in interior design, you don't have the time to document those things. I would say if you're a solopreneur, you should not be spending any time documenting your standard operating procedures, especially on admin and procurement and all of those things that are really tedious and need those kinds of SOPs. Like you're bringing in somebody who can build that for you. That is a part of the job.
yeah, I love that distinction. And I think that's where our team really shines. And we were clear about that when we first started really documenting our processes. And what I mean by documenting our processes is that we would go through, let's say, design, for example, our design process. What are we selling to our clients? What are we talking about to them? Like, how are we telling them about our process? That has to be documented so that you're doing it the same way every time. Because if you're doing it differently every time, you're reinventing something every single time, there's just no consistency there. And that's not good for you. It's not good for your team. It's not good for your clients. It's not good for your partners. And so that's what I mean by getting a process in place. And by documenting, that can look like simple Word document that is linear and it breaks down, and it could just even be high level. Our design process looks like this. We meet with a potential client. We talk to them about X. We sign the potential client. They get a design agreement, etc. We onboard them. Then we're into the design phases. Those look like this. So it could be as easy as just a Word document that's written down. And you can have a junior designer help document that. It doesn't have to be just you.
Yeah. I mean,
And
guess what, guys? Laura didn't put that documentation together. Our
no.
did, our designers who were doing it, and then, of course, had the time and then I think also the motivation to want to document it so they can train other people underneath them. Like, I think it's very important to have the people who are in it and doing it day in and day out create that process.
And I will say that it didn't happen by accident. We were very um, organized about how we documented our processes. And we would set that goal at the beginning of a quarter together with the team. Okay, this quarter, we are going to document our design process. That means this person's doing this person's doing this person's pulling it all together. And by the 31st of March, we're reporting it out to the whole team. It is solidified. It's in a Word document. It lives on our server in this folder, and it's being reported on. And so we were very deliberate about how we did it and who was doing it and what finished looks like. So it doesn't just happen by accident. It's not like, oh, I'm going to document my process. No, it's got to be very clear. Even if you want to have like let's say you're a 3-person firm, the three of you can work on this together as long as you are all using the same document, you know who's doing what and when it should be done. And I think this is the same for every process we put in place, right? Like even in operations now, we're very clear about how something gets done. And I think this is also goes back to hiring in the first place, in like that fear around setting expectations and how to get all of that knowledge from your solopreneur mind into the hands of an employee. And how do they know what to do and when to do it? And so today we talked a lot about like consistent meetings, the cadence of those meetings, what should happen in those meetings, and then the difference between a part-time hire and a full-time hire and how each can work.
Mhm.
So Melissa, do you want to talk about like in our office, our meeting consistency? I think that was a big deal for us.
I mean, I'm big on check-ins, and so when somebody first starts with me, I'm meeting with them every single day, and I know that seems like a lot, but it has to be, and I mean, I think one of the things that you're doing first when you bring on somebody new isn't just necessarily telling them exactly what they need to be doing, but you're also building trust with them, and learning, okay, how do they work? They need to learn how I work. Do I even wanna work with them? I think that there's also a probationary period that happens for, me as the employer and for them as the employee. Is this a good working relationship? Because if it's not, you will never trust that person. You will never trust that person to take on anything that you delegate. You will always feel like they're going to mess something up. And that's not a great place to be in because then you're stuck at square one. But I think once you can get through that probationary period of, yes, speaking to that person every single day and maybe having like a good standing meeting every week or twice a week to start. Okay, how are you doing? This is what needs to be done. Let me train you on at least what I have. This is how I would do it. You can do it however you want, however you decide to manage. And then after that, I meet with my team one on one once a week, where we're talking about actual work. We're doing project audits. We're talking about problems that we need to fix, problematic clients. And then every quarter, I'm meeting with each person that I manage one on one. We go out to a nice lunch, we'll go out to coffee. And then, of course, every year we're doing an annual review. So I think you need to prioritize meeting with your team about themselves and their growth just as much as about the projects and the work. And I think that that is very difficult to learn in the very beginning.
I agree. Okay, so let's break those things up. So let's say you just hired someone, they're coming on board, you're a solopreneur, this is your first hire. Um, First, let's tackle how to get all that information in your head into something that they can use and actually produce work from. You don't have documented processes just yet. So you really want them to be able to jump in and help you without going rogue and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So, like you said, new hire, you're meeting with them every single day, whether they're part time or full time. And that doesn't mean 8 hours a day. It means you're at least getting them started first thing in the morning. And yes, we are busy. And as solopreneurs, you are doing everything. If you're a small team, you're doing everything as the business owner. Still, you have to carve out and be consistent about that meeting with this new person. I would say that happens at least the first 2 weeks daily. That's probably enough that first couple of weeks daily. And then in addition to that daily or beyond that 2 weeks, you're having a weekly consistent meeting. And I think this happens, let's say it's a Monday. Monday morning is when you meet with this person. It's not a meeting just to train them on some random thing. Like you're not sitting there training them on how to do a CAD elevation. This is a working meeting. So let's say you're meeting at 9 a.m. Monday morning. We are going to project audit. And what I mean by that is you're looking at a project and you're saying, okay, this is where we are. This is where we need to go. And you're talking about everything in between and doling out tasks. What are you handling? What is your employee handling? I think that is for us the most efficient way to actually tackle a project and training at the same time. In this industry, in design at least, not operations necessarily, but in design, training happens in real time. So when people say like, "Are you gonna train me?" Yes, I am, but I'm not putting you in a training program. Again, I'm not a Fortune 500 company with this huge HR staff that has this onboarding program. I'm a small business. So yes, I'm gonna train you, but it's gonna look like in real time, me giving direction, you asking questions, and me answering. And so I think that's a critical distinction is that we do often train in real time. And then so beyond that weekly meeting, there has to be a touch point. And this I think has to do with trust. We are very much, I at least am very much a trust but verify person. So I'm going to trust that you're going to do what we've agreed to. I'm going to trust that you're doing it in the amount of time we've said we are going to. You may do it your own way. It's probably better than the way I would do it. As long as we understand the goal and the timing to get there, how you do it doesn't matter to me. If you're efficient and effective, excellent. But I want to have a midpoint check-in. So you may want to meet with that person midway through the week. So you have your Monday audit, Wednesday check-in, how you doing? How's it looking? Friday, it's done. I'm reviewing the work and sending it out. Whatever. That's just a general idea. Then there's what Melissa was talking about with your 30-day check-in, your 90-day check-in, your quarterly chats, and your annual reviews. That's very different. So do you want to, because I think even as a solopreneur, if you have one employee, you should still be doing those things.
Oh my gosh, probably even more so, because this person is your right-hand man. And I think that 15 minutes that you devote to just explaining something or making a connection with this person will save you 15 hours of explanation later. I mean, we have to understand, like, we're hiring people, yes, to help us with the work, but they're human beings. And so you should really like them. I'm not a very trusting person. It takes me a while to really trust somebody to figure out if they're going to do it right.
I think I'm pretty trusting. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, oh, you said you could do that? Excellent. Let's go.
So I'm really big on shadowing. I think that's one thing that I can take from corporate work that I think I've used at Laura U that's been really helpful. Just shadow me too for a couple weeks. See what I do, see how I do things. If that works for you, I can tell that you and I will be able to work together really well. Because again, like, I'm not necessarily going to change my management style that much. I mean, I'm going to do it. Obviously, you have to meet people where they are and get comfortable with people where they are and change yourself a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, you're pretty much set in your ways at that point. And you really want to bring on people who are very complimentary to you. So that's his first week. But going back to, they're human beings. And I think that they don't necessarily, I speak to as my own experience. When I was younger and was working for other people, I didn't want to have my own business. I have not been that kind of person. And I think that that's helped me be a good complement to somebody who does. And so I think that when you can meet with somebody, again, every quarter, whenever you can, to review with them and understand them as a person, that's going to strengthen that relationship, because this person isn't going to be a visionary like you are. They're not going to understand the kind of pressure that you're under to run that business. They just want to support you. And so if you show some interest in them, want to help them succeed, that person is going to be the best support for you. Because I think that there are people who want to have their own businesses, and then there are people who want to support the people who have their own businesses.
That's a really interesting take, because that entrepreneur mindset, I kind of feel like everybody has it. And obviously, like, I have it. And I don't have the understanding, like, why wouldn't you want that? I don't get that. Why wouldn't you want to just like go for it? I appreciate that perspective, like, a lot. And I think as an entrepreneur, going a mile a minute, and a lot of us have that shiny object syndrome, it becomes difficult for us to follow a cadence like this. Meet Mondays, meet every day, meet quarterly, meet annual review. Those are the things that we're like, oh, that stuff can wait. Those aren't critical things. Like, critical is getting the money in, making sure clients are happy, making sure the team is doing what they need to be doing, et cetera, whatever, cash flow. This is something that I've learned over the years. You cannot skimp on meeting with your team. You can't. Meeting with them consistently. You have to meet with them consistently. You cannot let it slide. It is so freaking important. So as an entrepreneur who's wearing every hat, doing everything, put this on your calendar. Do not let it slide.
If you're a designer, then you know that High Point is the epicenter for all things interior design. All your favorite furniture vendors are there, your favorite designers, manufacturers, tastemakers, trendsetters. Market happens every April and October, and we hope you'll register and attend. We're there each market, and we're always finding something new. We know you will too. Check out highpointmarket.org for more information.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ways to erode trust with somebody that you manage is to reschedule those one-on-ones with them all the time or not have them, because then it shows that you don't care about them, or that they're not a priority. And I know that that's
And
not
that's not
true.
our intention. I know that's yes.
Yeah. I know that that's not true, but I think for those people who do like to be in support roles, it's just like, okay, well, this person doesn't care about me. I don't care about them. And
Right.
boom, you've lost
Yeah.
somebody who could really help you get to where you need to go. So I think one of the things that people often think is that, okay, I want to hire somebody who's just like me. They have my skill set. They think exactly like I do. You do not want another you. You're you enough. You need somebody else.
Another me. Her name is Liv and she's 13.
You need somebody who's complementary to you. But you have to understand that person as well in order to work with them. So I think it's so important to have those one-on-ones, like those quarterly meetings. And yes, it seems like rigidity, but it's not, it's consistency. Like, I think sometimes we can confuse structure with being told what to do. And I don't like being told what to do. But it's that consistency and expectation setting. And when people know what to expect and when you follow through on that, that's how you build trust.
I think what like as important as keeping those meetings consistent, planning for them. Like put them on your calendars every quarter. You should be meeting with the people on your team. And if you're just hiring, that's something you can hire with too. You can say during your interviews, like, hey, I meet with you once a quarter because I care about your progression. What happens inside those meetings?
Yeah, so those quarterly meetings, this is just about this person and their performance. I don't make it about like, hey, we're going to meet every quarter. We're going to work on projects. No, you should be doing that anyway. Every day, every week. This is a completely separate meeting. That is for this relationship building and understanding how this person is being measured. Is this person meeting expectations? Are they getting everything that they need from you? Do they have all of the resources that they need to succeed? Uh, I structure these meetings in a different way every single time because I manage different people. So it depends on how they want to go. I manage one person, she's all business. She just wants to talk about business. So we do that first, and then we talk about all the fun stuff on the other end. And then I have, another person who's just like, they will not get comfortable unless we talk about all the fun stuff in the beginning. So I think and that's something that I've learned over the years of working with them. But that whole meeting is just understanding, like, are you comfortable with what you're doing? Do you really like it? And I think you can get to a point with people where they trust you enough to say, you know what, I really hated this that happened 2 months ago, or this client treats me like shit. And then you're like, oh gosh, well, I would have never known that unless you told me that. Or this builder yelled at me. Those kinds of things don't come through the day because we're so busy. Those kinds of things get internalized, and then they come out in a quarterly meeting. And I always want my team to feel supported, like, okay, you can bring this stuff to me at any time. So I'm just trying to get a feeling for how do they feel in their day to day.
I think that's a really important distinction too, because you may say, especially with a small team, I'm working with this person every single day. Why do I need to meet with them separately? Like I talk to them 8 hours a day. Why am I talking more with this person? Because this quarterly meeting or this annual review is different. We treat them differently. Quarterly meetings, we call them quarterly chats. We go to lunch, we go to coffee. I think it's especially important whether you're in a studio together all day or you're hybrid or you're fully remote. You can even do this over Zoom, over lunch, like have lunch together over Zoom, whatever. I think it's important to get away from the day to day and make like really sit down. And like you said, it's either business first and then fun later. So like a mullet, business in the front, party in the back, or the opposite, depending on who this person is. But you're going to get different things, a different conversation from them over lunch than you would in the studio. And
Yeah.
if you don't know what to ask, like sometimes I feel uncomfortable having a quarterly chat because I don't want this person to feel like I'm grilling them. It's a conversation. And so some things I ask are like, what's working? Like, what really worked well for you this quarter? And then on the flip side, like if you start with that, they get to talk about the good stuff. Flip side, what's not working? Like, what have you found as a roadblock? And it may take a while to kind of pull out of them something that may not be working, but that is so telling. Like that one question can be really telling. Like, what are some prompts that you use?
Well, with one person, and you know who I'm talking about, I'll be like, "What really sucked for you last quarter? Just tell
Yeah.
me." And it's the first
What really
question I ask
sucked?
her because that's where her mind goes. She's like, "I wanna
Mhm.
talk about the problem so I can fix them."
Yep. She wants to
Um,
improve it. Yep.
she wants to improve it, and so that's really what we focus on. Or I'll have something in mind that's just like, "Hey, you know what? We dealt with this issue with the vendor. It didn't go your way. I felt like you did a really great job in handling it, but now that we're past it, would you have handled it a different way?" You're like, what were you thinking?" Like, really put it all on them. I say nothing about myself in in that entire conversation until we're talking about, like, concerts we wanna go to and stuff like that. They're out
Right.
in the store. Uh, but in the beginning, I really make it all about them, and I think that's so important for support staff because nothing is about them ever. You know, it's about the name on the door,
I mean,
if
even
they're
the design team too. I think it's similar. It's
yeah,
not necessarily about them. It's about the client or about the builder. So many things go wrong. So it is a nice time to let them talk about it and also just reinforce that we all make mistakes. It's okay. Let's talk about them. We don't hide them. So this could be a good like one-on-one. They're not bringing it up in front of other people. They're just bringing it to you.
right, right. And that's why we focus on things that went wrong. I focus on mistakes. I want my team to get comfortable with the fact that things are gonna happen all the time that we're not happy with. It's really just and a lot of those things are outside of our control. So that's not your fault, but it is up to us to handle it the best that we can.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. And I think that once they get comfortable with that, and I also share some of the things that I messed up over the past quarter, I wish that I could have done a lot better. Then we're sharing this kind of vulnerability, and I think that that builds a lot of trust. So I think that's what the quarterly conversation is really all about. Is that trust building meeting. I'll have some quarterly conversations where we don't talk about work at all. Like if I
Yeah.
have a
Same.
team member who's going through something personal, then okay, we're dropping everything. We're going to go get guacamole and margaritas and we're going to talk about our personal bit. But then that like I mean, our relationship gets that much stronger. And then, like, once we get to work, it's work. So I think I'm also a big person on separating when we're working and doing fun stuff, and so I love having that quarterly conversation outside of the office because it creates just almost that mental separation of, "Okay, I can be myself here. I'm not on at work."
I totally agree. So that's the quarterly conversation. It's a little more impromptu, casual, go with some prompts and, just so you're prepared. What worked, what didn't work, what sucked. Some people like to talk about like I have a couple of people and depends on personalities, but they want to talk about what they did really well. They
Mm,
wanna talk about their wins that quarter first. They're just reinforcing that they're valuable to themselves and to me, and that's fine, and so we may start with that and then get casual, like, as they, get a little more comfortable and they've led with what they've done really well because that makes them feel good and, reinforces their value, then we can move on, and that's okay too. Annual annual reviews are a little different, and we will not go into exactly what those look like. But I will tell you overall, we do them once a year. We do them based on when the hire was made. So 12 months from that date of hire ish. And then we follow a format called BEST, which is begin, end,
start and track.
start, and track. I was like, what's the S? Begin, end,
Or
start, track.
save.
And
Begin and save and track.
oh, save.
So
That's
tasks we
okay.
want you to start, tasks we want you to end, we feel like they're hindering your growth. Tasks are like, "Hey, you're doing great. Just maintain this, and then these are the metrics that we're going to track behavior
Yep.
in the coming year."
So really, it's those four things. What do we want you to start doing? End, save, and then track, and how we're going to track those. And then we align with our core values. We have 5 of them, and we say, okay, core value 1, are you a plus? Are you a minus? Or are you neutral? And we rank them and we talk about those. And then on the employee side, they answer some questions like, what do you need to do your job well? Do you have what you need to do your job well? What are some of the other ones? I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like, do you have your resources that, in order to do your job well? What are some things that like what was the thing you were most proud of the past year? Like a big accomplishment? What is something that you want to fix this upcoming year? Those kinds of things. So it's really work, folks. I don't talk about anything personal in the
No,
annual.
no, no, no. It's yeah, no. And we don't, just to be clear, we don't grant raises based on tenure. So even though it's your annual review, you've been here a year, it may not necessarily align with your raise. You may have gotten a raise 6 months prior because you were just kicking ass and you deserve a raise. Or you may be in a growth phase, you're not getting a raise just yet. Let's talk about what that could look like in the next 6 months to a year.
Yes,
So we're
always tied
merit
to
based.
performance, not to tenure.
Yeah. So that's what our cadence looks like. It is quarterly and annual. Um, what else are we? I don't even know where we started here.
And that's a lot, but I mean, if you've just hired somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds like a ton of stuff that I
It's
need to be
not.
doing. It's not, and I would even say as a solo, you probably don't need to have it structured like that. But I do think you need to take some time out to meet with your people.
Twice a year minimum.
Twice a year at the minimum. You also want to understand that they have lives outside of work because I don't want to hire somebody who doesn't have a life outside of this business. Because then that's the person who's going to spin their wheels. That's the person who isn't going to understand that the client paid up until a certain point and then we're done with that work.
Right.
So I want to make sure during that quarterly convo, okay, what are you doing outside of this? Like what excites you? What are you learning? All those kinds of things. And I know it seems like it's a lot, but I want you to keep that in mind when you are hiring this person because if you don't feel like having those kinds of things with this person, if you don't want to take them out, you guys aren't jiving, it's not going to work. It will not work. And I know that that's not as objective. It's more of like, hey, I feel like I can get along with this person. And it might take you a while to get there. You are going to have to kiss some frogs. It's not going to work for everybody. I'm really lucky in the fact that like the people that I manage right now, I've had them for a few years and I love taking them out to that quarterly conversation. We look forward to it. We have such a good time. That hasn't always been the case. And that really showed up in the work. So don't dread it because with the right person, you'll actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, and not just that, I think you'll also enjoy, I mean, yes, audits are tough. Monday meetings are tough because we're all just like, oh my God, there's so much to do. But with the right person, you will enjoy that and you'll develop trust over time because I think that's been a big objection too to hiring is how do I trust someone else to do this, not necessarily the way I would exactly, but do this with the excellence in mind that I have for my business. How do I trust them with that? Um, how do you answer that question? Like, trust is tough. You're putting your reputation on the line when you're delegating to someone else.
I mean, let's be real. It's very hard to trust somebody you don't like. So I think when you're hiring somebody, you need to like that person. That's first and foremost. I think some people do hire people. They're just like, oh, they seem like they really like the job, but I don't know if I like them. Okay, why'd you hire them? Like, why are you doing
Right.
that? You need to like
You need
these.
to enjoy that person. Yeah.
You don't need to be having dinner with them every night, but I think that you need to have something that you can appreciate and admire about this other person. And then once that's established, because that's a gut feeling, like that's nothing that you can train yourself
Yep.
into. Then I think it's giving them these kinds of responsibilities that you might be uncomfortable with at first. We talked about that a little bit in our coffee chat this morning is I don't know if I want to delegate this over because I don't trust her to be able to do this right now, which it's a new hire. We all feel that way. Like
Yeah.
we don't necessarily
It's unproven. We don't know yet. Yes.
right. So you have to give them the opportunity to prove it. You can't micromanage every single thing that they do because then you're limiting their ability to build that trust with you. You will never build trust if you're controlling everything that they do. So you have
And
to
you're going to make yourself miserable too.
exactly, unless you really like to be controlling, then okay.
No,
But
God, just no.
you got to bite the bullet and assign them something where you're just like, you know what, they might mess this up, and but that's okay. I need to have a
I'm going
plan
to
on how to
figure that
fix it
out.
and how to talk them through it because I think the best teacher is making a mistake.
Agree. I mean, and we talked about this morning too, that yes, you have to develop trust that this person is going to protect your reputation. They may not do the work exactly like you would do it, but they're still going to do it the way they would do it and they'll get to the goal. Let's say they make a mistake. That's okay. It's how you respond to that mistake with them as your teammate, with your client. Are you accountable for this? Are you taking responsibility? How are you going to fix it? Yes, I'm accountable. Yes, I'm responsible. Yes, I'm on it. We're going to make this work. Builder, whoever it is, I think it's how you respond to that mistake
Yeah.
because you may have made the same mistake or a different mistake. Just because it's a different person doesn't mean that mistake wouldn't have been made either way. So I think it's really about yes, stuff's going to happen. Shit is going to fall through the cracks. It just will. It's how you respond to that and deal with it on the back end that protects your reputation. Because when we're talking about trust, I think that's the biggest concern is the reputation that you've cultivated for yourself and your firm. How do you maintain that?
Yeah.
That can be scary.
Yeah, absolutely. But your firm's changing. So you got to change with it now that you have new people.
That's right.
Your reputation, consider that your reputation could get better because now you're offering better client service with a bigger team.
Yep. And that's true. I mean, I hear now from builders more than I ever have in the past. I hear now from builders, your team is amazing. They are on it. No, they're not perfect, but they are on it. They're amazing. And the way that they're working is so incredible.
Yeah.
And that is, that's so rewarding to
Yeah.
hear.
Well, that's a big
So
reflection of you and the way that you manage, like it's
all
not,
of us,
I think that's where you can take ownership too as a manager. Cause I know for new managers, it can be hard, especially with designers, because you're delegating the task, but then you're also delegating the credit. But I think as a manager, you have
I'm
to
fine with that.
that is, I mean, your measure of success is how well your team does.
100%. Yes, that's so important. Your measure of success is how well your team does. And so that makes all of those Monday meetings worth it. That makes those daily meetings when that person starts worth it. Your quarterly conversations, your annual meetings, your trust, that makes all of it worth it. Okay. I mean, let's leave it there.
That was a great way to end it.
Yeah. Boop, drop. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast, coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.